When picking a new RC airplane, flight envelope is important. We want a nice size plane that we can fly in the backyard, but not get bored, and we want durability. This one right here is a 3D monster, and it is a good time doing some sketchy stuff. Now, if you guys know my channel, you know I love nothing more than flying RC airplanes in my backyard, and E-flite released another one that I am able to do that with. It is the all-new Foresight. Now, the Foresight was originally like an indoor, super fragile 3D airplane. So they took that original design, mixed it with the Aerobatics that we have all flown and loved, and you have this awesome profile plane. Now, profile or flat foamies are typically planes that you have to build and they take days. E-flite made this super easy to set up. It actually has all quick connects and goes together in about 3 minutes. Now, with that, a little bit of a drawback, it's a heavier model, which means even flying in my backyard, it's over 250 grams, so we will have to use remote ID. But it is bond and fly. You can get plug and play. The bond and fly AR630 comes pre-mounted, pre-wired. The little motor's up front. The ESC is behind this right here. On this side, you have 2 places you can mount the battery. So you have the side here, right? I have an 850 milliamp 3S G2 pack, which I love. Or you could do it in the back here. They actually give you an extra one of these straps. But that's what I'm using to put my little remote ID on. Not a big deal. I know everybody complains about remote ID, but on the rare chance that, 747 wants to hit the top of the trees, at least they know I'm flying this in my backyard. Better safe than sorry. Now, this also has AS3X Plus, which means you don't have to set anything up. All you got to do is bind it, hit load if you have an NX or IX transmitter, and that smart file automatically programs everything in your remote. So you're going to have safe and AS3X. You're going to have low rate, mid rate, high rate, all done. You don't have to do anything. So get it out of the box, put it together, put a battery in, hit load, and you guys are flying. So with all that being said, let's plug this battery in. Let's get this thing in the air. Now, I'm going to keep everything on high rate. So this is with safe mode on. You can see safe seriously limits the amount of throw everything has. Then I have mine on a 3-position switch. So when I go to switch 1, that's it. That is exactly how Horizon has everything set up in high rate mode without safe on. Now, what I did, I didn't really like the way it tracked as a 3D plane, so I went in there with some, help from my buddy Ethan, and we fine-tuned AS3X. So that's going to be the 3rd position, which I'm going to show you guys all of that. And if you're interested in setting up AS3X the way I have it set up in this, I'm going to show you guys exactly how I did it. The cool thing about AS3X Plus is you don't even need to name the model. So once you load the smart file, it's already pre-named and you have flight mode 1 and 2. Flight mode 1 is safe, flight mode 2 is AS3X. I moved it to my B switch, which is a 3-position switch, so now I have 3 flight modes. So the first thing you do, forward programming, AS3X settings, and you're gonna change the AS3X gains. Flight mode 1 is safe mode, flight mode 2 is AS3X, which comes pre-programmed. Now the settings on that are gonna be 13, pitch is 39, and the yaw is 53. So when you go to flight mode 3, we're going to change it to exactly what I have on the screen. The only thing you're changing is the roll and pitch. The yaw is going to stay the same. Now, once you have that locked in, we're going to go back, and the next thing we're going to go into is going to be the priority settings. So again, flight mode 1 is safe, so we don't touch that. Flight mode 2 is their stock mode. Everything is 140, roll, pitch, and yaw. So for our fine-tuned flight mode 3, we're going to upgrade everything to 160. And once you have that locked in, we're going to go back, and there's one more thing that we need to do. Stop, lock, release rate. You click that. Flight mode 1, flight mode 2, and flight mode 3 are all going to stay the same for this. We're not going to touch it. Now, if you see in the bottom right-hand corner, it says next. We're going to go over to that next button, and then we're going to adjust the switch there. Once you're in this menu, you will see flight mode 2, you have roll 55, pitch 55, and yaw 75. Now when we go to flight mode 3, all we're going to do is max these out completely and put them all to 100%. Now with this setup, you're going to have a much more fine-tuned model, which is going to make it easier to fly in your backyard. So if you do get this, do what I did and set it up to a 3-position switch and play with their flight mode and the flight mode that I just programmed, and you guys let me know which one you think flies better. But to start, what I'm going to do to show you that you can fly a plane like this with safe in the backyard is I'm going to hand throw this thing with safe on, show you guys what my hands do, and we'll get it in the air. So I'm going to go a little power, light toss. Now guys, safe is on, so I got to make a little bit wider turns than I normally would. But you could also go into forward programming and change that. Now remember, this is bank limit, right? So it's not going to let you flip all the way over. You don't have to worry about this thing flipping over, losing orientation. Now I'm going up high just to show you that it does have the potential to fly high as well.
It is windy up top, so I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna shut that off and bring this thing down. Safe mode is off, and it is my airplane. This safe demonstration was a quick one because, again, we're flying in the backyard and I need the max throws. Now this is in high rate, the way that Horizon Hobby has AS3X set up. And honestly, my only issue is that I was getting a good amount of wing rock. Even like in a hover, like well, it's not really doing it right there, but I'm gonna show you guys, like in a high alpha, you kind of see it right there, how the wind's rocking when you bring it into a high alpha. And I wasn't too fond of that. So I'm gonna switch it into hour mode, AS3X mode, fine-tuned, and it's a lot better, man. But again, I'm flying a fairly decent sized airplane in my backyard. And that's what's super important to me, right? I could bring this out. This is what I'm gonna call a 3D trainer. It is capable. You know, you guys will be able to hover, you'll be able to knife edge and do all kinds of stuff with the confidence of a smaller plane, even being as big as it is. Now let's get this back in front of us, bring it into a hover. Plenty of power on that 3S2 to get you out of uncomfortable situations. That's one of those things you're gonna look for in a 3D airplane, right? You wanna have a good power to weight ratio. Now I'm gonna bring it back into a high alpha. Nice and low, I'm using a good amount of rudder. So the wings still rock a little bit, but that could be because my battery is a little further forward. Now you guys, or there might be some other videos of people running the CG a little further back. I don't like it that far back. To me, it's just, you know, I like when it tracks better. Like, I'm not a crazy 3D pilot. For me, it's more important to have a plane that tracks better. And again, you know, when you're at power, it's gonna be a way better tracking plane. Now, I did say it is windy up top. As you can see, it is blowing this thing around pretty good. So let's bring this thing back down. Guys, I live on Long Island. It's been tough getting some calm days to fly flat foamies like this, but I have to get a video out for you guys, man. So let's not go up high again because I'm definitely gonna lose it. And let's do what these things are good for. Let's do some nice low flying backyard flights. So that's what this video is about, man, to show you that this is a capable airplane that you can fly in a small space. I'm a big fan of flying in my backyard. I've always been a fan of flying in my backyard. And I will say, I do need to practice a little more. My 3D skills are extremely subpar, but I mean, this is definitely a good one to learn with. I am getting a little bit better. Let's go inverted. All right. Let's not end up in a tree.
That's the walk of shame.
We got it. Durability, pretty good. Let's leave the ladder here. Nah, we'll get rid of the ladder. Don't do what I do. Fly better than me, not like me. Now let's see, can we get it off the ground?
It was nice seeing that this does have the option to take off of a small runway, even though in my opinion, when you're flying in a small space like this, it's definitely better to just give this thing a light hand toss. And bringing it in for a land, it makes it challenging because you have to practice your hovers to grab it, even though you can just plop it down on the grass. Now this plane really is good for flying in the backyard and honing your 3D skills. I'm going to start doing a secondary part to my videos like this because I found that it's a lot easier for me to fly when I'm not focused on talking and can just focus on the model flying. Now if you guys have never flown a flat Foamy before, they really are amazing planes, and E-flite took such an amazing design and made it super simple for anybody to get in the air with little to no assembly. If you guys know anything about flat foamies, they do take a ton of time to build, so kudos to them for really stepping it up and bringing simplicity into model aviation just like they always do. I was really enjoying flying this thing, and yes, I crashed it a ton of times. It is pretty durable, although the foam will crack slightly, just like the Aerobatics, but a little foam to foam thin CA or something like that will bring it back to life, which is a good thing, especially if you use these things to really test your skills and the flight envelope of the plane, like landing this thing on your roof. Now for me, landing it was the easy part. Taking back off was a bit of a challenge. When you fly in untraditional places, you usually crash into untraditional things, but that has nothing to do with the airplane and more of the pilot. This is a great flying airplane, and the only difference between this and a traditional flat foamy is that it is a little bit heavier and it flies a little bit faster. But being that it's easy to set up, I really think that it sets itself apart from the rest. Again, I said it many times in the video, but I do believe these are some of the best planes to practice flying in a small space, especially if you want to get into aerobatic and 3D. And why? Because you can crash these. Now, you will break them, right? I did break this a little bit. You see here it disconnected. But the good thing is a little bit of just like foam to foam, foam tack, or like a foam-friendly CA, and you're going to glue this back, and it's going to fly like you've never crashed. Now, I also broke my propeller, but you know what? That's easy to change, a little rubber band, and that's from me trying to back off my roof, right? I was spinning the propeller, and it must have nicked it. Other than that, these are going to be some of the most durable planes. They handle really well. All in, just top-notch stuff. E-flite really, really making it cool for you guys to be able to get a flat foamy set up and in the air in no time, whereas like the last ones that I built took me personally 4 or 5 days to build, working on them, a couple hours a day. So yeah, this gets a big score from me. Again, it's a little heavy, so if you guys do buy one of these and you think it's going to fly just as slow as a flat foamy that you've flown in the past, you're going to need a little more speed. But you can still fly it in a small space like my backyard. And if you fine tune that AES-3X like I did, it's going to be a little bit easier to fly in a small space like my backyard. So as always, if you guys are interested in one of these, I did leave the link down below, so make sure you check it out. And happy flying.